noise of the rushing world, a gentle voice, a story unfurled, wisdom from a distant shore, opening a brand new door.
The breeze drifting through the window has grown noticeably softer, a gentle whisper suggesting that the seasons are quietly changing their attire once more. I see the faint stirrings of life at the tips of once barren branches, and as the sweet scent of damp earth mingles with the air, I find myself wondering how you are faring. On a day like today, when the mind settles into a calm stillness, I find myself wishing to share a warm cup of tea with you and begin a deep, meaningful conversation. I stand here not to offer grand, sweeping consolations, but simply to offer a quiet presence by your side. In this journey of life, we cross many thresholds, many knots in the wood of our experience. Among them, the number 60 often carries a particular weight. Many view it as a sunset, a time of fading light and creeping solitude. Yet the philosopher and author Kim Jong-won offers a profoundly different perspective. Having spent over 2 decades wandering the vast forests of the humanities, he suggests that 60 is precisely when the true dignity of a life is perfected. It is not a manufactured, flashy brilliance, but the subtle, enduring glow of a pebble smoothed and polished by the relentless waves of time. His work, The Dignity of Life, After 60, is far more than a practical guide for retirement. It is a philosophical meditation on how to age with grace, how to set down the heavy burden of others' expectations, and how to finally live as one's true self. As I moved through these pages, I found myself pausing, frequently, captivated by sentences that seemed to know my heart better than I knew it myself. These are words that demand to be savored, not merely read. I wish to deliver these echoes of wisdom to your ears now. I invite you to close your eyes, find your most comfortable position, and join me on this journey of contemplation. Kim Jong-won reminds us that true dignity is not found in outward status or accumulated wealth, but in the fragrance one leaves behind in a room. 60 is the golden age, when every experience has fermented into a unique, sophisticated flavor. This book serves as a gentle manual for filling that precious time with elegance and inner strength. It touches upon our common anxieties, the fear of solitude, the friction in relationships, and heals them with a humanist's touch. It doesn't offer artificial comfort instead. It awakens the realization that we are inherently precious. As we turn these pages together, I hope you feel your spirit uncurl and your heart soften. Let us now uncover the gems hidden within these chapters, witnessing the process of a life becoming a masterpiece. The first story. The dignity of language begins at the tip of the lips. I am only now beginning to realize that the words I utter are the very house in which I live. Once we pass the threshold of 60, our language becomes a report card of our entire existence. In his writing, Kim Jong-won offers a striking insight. More important than the ability to speak well is the wisdom to withhold the words that do not need to be said. While there is a common saying that as we age, we should close our mouths and open our wallets, the author suggests a deeper truth. It is not about silence for the sake of silence, but about regulating the temperature of our words. A person of true dignity does not feel the need to broadcast their achievements. They do not reach into the cupboard of past glories to fill the emptiness of the present. Instead, they create a margin of space a silence that allows them to truly listen. Reading this, I reflected on my own past. I wondered how often I had used my history as a shield or a lecture, imposing the weight of my experiences onto others. Dignity does not spring from comparison. It arises from the quiet, resolved to be slightly better than the version of ourselves that woke up yesterday. The author identifies two linguistic poisons to avoid. After 60, comparison and lamentation. Phrases like, "in my day," or "so-and-so's child did this," are corrosive to the soul's dignity. Refined language does not require ornate vocabulary. It requires the filter of respect for others and a profound affirmation of oneself. This is what Kim calls the language of contemplation, the act of straining one's thoughts through the heart before letting them reach the tongue. There is a misconception that speaking less is a sign of decline. On the contrary, it is a sign of maturity. There is a profound stability in a person who chooses their words with the care of an artisan. Simple words like "thank you," "I'm sorry," or "that could happen" take on a different weight when they pass through the lips of a 60-year-old. They become vessels of life's depth. I suspect that many of the harsh words we've thrown out into the world were actually wounds we were inflicting upon ourselves. The author emphasizes that the fear of hurting someone with your words that vary hesitation is the highest form of cultivation. Life after 60 is no longer a race to win an argument or assert dominance. It is a season for tending to wounds and raising the world's temperature with a single warm sentence. Consider the temperature of your own words today. Have they been cold with criticism or scalding with vanity? Words are boomerangs. They inevitably return to their source. When the warmth you send out returns to wrap around you like a soft coat, you have mastered the dignity of language. Let us commit to infusing our speech with love, not as a grand philosophy, but as a simple, daily kindness. A warm greeting to a neighbor. A whisper of "well done" to yourself. These are the lines that turn your life into a poem. The second story. The dignity of relationship found in the beauty of distance. How we relate to others requires a radical shift as we mature. If the years before 60 were about expansion and acquisition, the years after should be about refinement and order. Kim Jong-won offers particularly poignant advice regarding our children. He suggests that the ultimate dignity a parent can show is acknowledging that a child is not an extension of their own life, but an entirely independent universe. This realization can be bittersweet. We often mistakenly believe that parenting is a lifelong ownership, yet the author reminds us that children are merely gifts, entrusted to us by the universe for a short time. True love is the courage to maintain a respectful distance. It is about becoming a sturdy tree that provides shade when needed, rather than a vine that chokes the life out of the one it clings to. By trusting them to walk their own path, we honor both their life and our own. Many fear the specter of loneliness in later years. However, we must distinguish between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a painful lack of others, but solitude is a rich, fulfilling encounter with oneself. When we let go of the desperate need to lean on our children, or the anxiety of being left out of social circles, we find a strange and beautiful freedom. In my own reflection, I've found that dignity in relationships is perfected when we stop keeping score. Expecting a return for our kindness only breeds resentment. A truly elegant adult is one who is content in their own company. When you are at peace with yourself, your relationships with others begin to flow like a calm river. Do not cling to relationships that drain your spirit. Learn the art of being polite yet distant. After 60, the quality of our connections far outweighs the quantity. It is better to deeply commune with a few souls who nourish your spirit than to lose yourself in a crowd. As the author beautifully puts it, the best relationship is not one where you make each other shine, but one where you do not block each other's light. We often stand too close, casting shadows where there should be sun. This applies to friendships as well. You don't need to share every trivial detail every day. A simple check-in, a wish for good health. These are enough. The number of friends may dwindle, but the depth of the remaining bonds should intensify. This ordering of relationships is not a cold act of cutting people off. It is a process of emptying the vessel so it can hold more meaningful love. To hold the sorrow of another, we need space in our own hearts. May your relationships after 60 be like trees in a well-spaced forest, close enough for the roots to touch, but far enough apart for the wind of freedom to blow between you. The third story. The dignity of learning in the unaging soul. We often relegate study to the young, viewing it as a means to an end, a degree, a career, a status. But Kim Jong-un argues that true learning only truly begins at 60. At this stage, learning is no longer a tool for success. It is a form of play, a divine curiosity. It is the act of reading, writing, and contemplating as ends in themselves. The author places immense value on contemplation, sasaek. This isn't about stuffing more facts into the brain. It's about taking the vast data of 60 years of living and fermenting it into a personal philosophy. How we interpret our experiences determines our dignity. A person who studies in their later years does not grow old in spirit. They possess a certain glow, a vitality born of an open mind. To learn is to remain humble, to admit that, despite all we have seen, there is still more to discover. A practical piece of advice from the book has stayed with me. Read just one profound sentence every morning and write it down. This simple ritual wakes the soul. I have begun this practice myself, and I find that the physical act of moving the pen across paper brings a resonance that digital reading can never replicate. This isn't for show. It's for the internal fortification of the self. Whether it's learning the name of a wildflower on your walk, researching a new recipe, or organizing the stories you will tell your grandchildren, this is all sacred study. Learning expands the window through which we view the world. Without it, we risk becoming closed, seeing only what we want to see. A lifelong learner remains flexible, able to listen to opposing views and adapt to a changing world. It is the only true antidote to becoming a curmudgeon. The author suggests that aging is not the death of cells, but the process of the soul becoming transparent. To maintain that clarity, we must constantly draw water from the well of contemplation. Wisdom is not the accumulation of knowledge, but a clear-sightedness regarding the essence of life. What sentence knocked on the door of your heart today? What new truth did you uncover? These small fragments are the most beautiful chapters of your life's book. It is never too late, in fact. 60 is the perfect time to fall in love with learning. The fourth story. The dignity of attitude found in the order of the everyday. Finally, we arrive at the concept of attitude. Dignity is not found in grand gestures. It is woven into the fabric of the mundane. It is the way you smooth your sheets in the morning, the grace with which you sit at a table, the uprightness of your posture as you walk. Kim Jong-un reminds us that a respectful attitude toward life itself dictates our destiny. As we age, the temptation to succumb to comfort is strong, but we must be careful that comfort does not slide into slovenliness or a lack of self-respect. Only those who treat themselves with dignity will receive it from others. Dressing neatly, keeping one's surroundings orderly, and being punctual. These are the rhythms that preserve self-esteem. I was particularly struck by the author's call to be strict with oneself and generous toward others. We often do the opposite, don't we? We excuse our own lapses while judging others harshly. An elegant adult, however, maintains internal discipline while offering a warm, wide embrace to the world's imperfections. At the end of the day, we won't take our wealth or titles with us. We take our attitude. The ability to maintain equanimity in the face of chaos. To offer a smile to a stranger. These are the things that draw people to us. The author even speaks of the sacredness of the dining table. Even if eating alone, setting a proper place with a beautiful bowl is an act of self-love. It made me realize how often I had neglected myself by eating hurriedly over the sink or out of a container. Attitude is the outward manifestation of inner order. If the mind is cluttered, the room becomes cluttered. If the heart is hurried, the gate becomes unstable. I find myself wanting to move through the world more slowly. Now, with more intention. I want to show respect to the flower on the path, the clerk at the store, and, most importantly, to the person in the mirror. Dignity cannot be bought. It is an aura earned through years of self-refinement. We see it in the straight back of an elderly woman walking down the street, or the polished shoes of a man who still takes pride in his appearance. Your daily life is your dignity. Start with the small things, straightening your desk, breathing deeply, and watch how it illuminates your entire existence. We have spent this time together, exploring the profound insights of Kim Jong-un. How do you feel? Is there a small vibration in your heart, an echo of these truths? For me, this journey has transformed the idea of aging from a frightening decline into an exciting voyage toward a deeper, richer self. Our lives after 60 are like a new book. If the previous chapters were written to satisfy the expectations of others, the chapters from here on belong solely to us. There is no need to rush. Slowly, steadily, build your own house of dignity. I hope these stories have been a quiet comfort to you. Life can be heavy and lonely at times, but in those moments, remember the noble dignity that resides within you. You are already enough, and you are capable of becoming even more radiant. When the weight of the world feels like too much, call upon these thoughts. Remember how to be free from the gaze of others, how to turn solitude into joy, and how to truly love yourself. The life ahead of you is not a fading twilight. It is the brilliant preparation for a night of deep, starlit wisdom. Thank you for being with me today. Tomorrow, I hope you find one more reason to love the person you are becoming. May your every step be filled with peace. And may the fragrance of a life well lived linger wherever you go. Sleep deeply and peacefully. Good night.